Hi guys, welcome to my weekly podcast. Today I'm going to discuss about predestination. Now, it's a very important subject because predestination means that God predestined everything. God knew from the beginning that man will fall, Jesus will be crucified, uh, that means Adam will fail, and Noah's son Ham will betray him. Abraham will fail his offering, and Abraham will succeed in offering his son. God predestined everything. Is that true? So that means if God predestined everything, that means our lives have no challenge, because we cannot fulfill any responsibility because God knows the outcome. So this is what I want to talk about, the misconception of predestination. Actually, God predestines only good. If you think of Adam and Eve, God predestined that Adam and Eve will not eat the fruit of knowledge of good and evil. That's what God predestined. He didn't predestine. He didn't predestine that Adam and Eve will fall, that they will eat the fruit. No, he predestined that they will not eat the fruit. That's He predestined only good. It is we who commit the who commit the act of the fall, of eating the forbidden fruit. So predestination is a concept that many theologians have formulated to say that God knows everything. God knows that what we will do. He knows that we will fall. He knows that we will fulfill our responsibility. He knows everything. I don't think so. I think God knows the possibilities of what will go wrong. Because of these possibilities, He gave us responsibility. So let's look at the possibilities. I mean, like if Adam and Eve fulfill their responsibility, then the possibility was for goodness, for the kingdom of heaven on earth. The kingdom of heaven was like King having his kingdom. And if they fail, it's going to be hell on earth. And that's what happened. They failed and they produced evil. So predestination is is that we fulfill our responsibility and predestine God's will. So let's look at some of the theologians who say, like Calvin. Calvin says that everything is predestined. That means Jesus had to die on the cross because there is no remission for sin without the shedding of blood. That's it. But actually, if you look at Hebrews 9:22, which says that almost everything. They say not everything, but almost everything is atoned by blood. So the component that goes is like faith. So we have to have faith. If we have faith, then God destines goodness for us. So the possibility for us to understand is that God knows the possibilities, that we can fall from grace, because the crucifixion gave humanity a tremendous grace. So we are not saved, they say, Paul said, we are not saved by our actions alone, we are saved by grace. It is, yes, we are saved by grace. God had tremendous grace, but our actions also needed in the formula of grace. I mean, just because you have grace, it does not mean that you do nothing. That means you can live in the domain of Satan, and then you can say that I'm saved because God has saved me because of my grace. So you got to understand, like, if anyone who lives in the domain of Satan is fallen or is dead, like Paul said, the wages of sin is death. So you got to really understand that no predestination is that God only predestines good, and also the concept that Christians have. Like Christians have a concept of um, once saved, always saved. So you are saved once, but then you're always saved. You can fall many times, but it doesn't matter because because God's grace is there, and God's grace is because you're saved. So this is also evil thinking, evil thought. I mean, you got to do something. You got to do something to make it happen. So predestination is not that no God knows everything. God knows the possibilities because He gave us responsibility. Because Apostle Paul always talks about predestination, but God really, people don't understand that predestination because they think that God only predestined the cross, and therefore because the cross was a must that will happen, and that we have salvation, we have grace, and we are saved, and we are saved from sin. That's the idea. If you say what are we saved from? No, we are saved from sin. So again, I reiterate the definition of sin. Sin is a thought or an action that violates heavenly law and enters into a reciprocal relationship or give and take with Satan. Is called sin. Satan is a fallen archangel that is against God's will. So that is sin. So if you disobey God, you form a relationship with Satan, and you fall into his domain. So you got to clearly understand what sin is, and separate from God does not want sin. He did not want Adam and Eve to fall. He wanted them to fulfill their responsibility. That's why he gave them a commandment. So they should have had faith in the commandment. And if they had faith in the commandment, then God would have blessed them in marriage. He said, you shall not eat of the tree of good and evil. The day that you shall eat, you shall die. So we know that Adam and Eve lived on, according to biblically, about 900 years they lived. But in fact, they did not live in God's domain. They were out of God's domain. That's why God placed a angel guarding the way to the tree of life. So the responsibility was in Adam and Eve because God gave the commandment to Adam, and they should have had that faith to believe in God and to trust Him so that they will attain oneness with God. Then God would have blessed you in marriage. So the fact of the matter remains is that you know that God does not predestine evil. Evil is committed by us falling from God's grace, and that is the reason that we commit sin. So this is what I want to emphasize, that God doesn't predestine evil. God doesn't predestine. Yes, God knows the hairs in our head, the number of hairs in our head, but God does not know what action we will take. Because the more we deviate from God, the more we with the providence of God's dispensation is prolonged. It's prolonged, and then God has to wait and wait. God does not interfere with our responsibility. So we have to understand this point to fulfill God's God's desire for us. So that is why God sent the Messiah. First, because it was a 2,000-year preparation, a 2,000-year preparation to send Jesus. And when He sent Jesus, people could not understand Him. That is Satan. Satan was working because people. It's very easy to make a relationship with Satan. So because many people are with Satan, so it's actually there is peer pressure, and when peer pressure accumulates, then people who are bound by Satan, their forces increase, and that is why the forces increase. And when I think the pilot want to free Jesus and ask them whether they want Barabbas or whether they want Jesus, and with one voice they shouted, "We want we want Barabbas to be released." And they got Barabbas, and Jesus was sent to the cross, was condemned to the cross. So that was evil. That was Satan who, but Satan did not know the victory on the cross, the tremendous victory, tremendous spiritual victory that the cross brought. Because he thought that everything was finished, everything was over. But no, God's providence to build that kingdom of heaven on earth was prolonged, but it is coming. The kingdom of heaven is coming. It's a matter of fact. It's like last week I spoke about the methodologies of reasoning. Like it can form into the category of the second one, inductive reasoning. So like inductive reasoning says that the sun will shine from the east, so tomorrow the sun will shine. So I can say that the kingdom of heaven will come. The kingdom of heaven should have come at the time of Jesus. But because the people of Israel failed, they crucified Jesus. Therefore, it was prolonged to another time. And we believe that the time is now. The time is now that the kingdom of heaven is here. And can say that in the inductive reasoning that we say that the kingdom of heaven will come. So it has happened. So even though the chosen people rejected Jesus, and Jesus went to the cross, but he brought spiritual salvation, because on the cross it was able to generate the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit worked as a feminine spirit, acted as a feminine spirit to give Christians, give people who believed in Jesus, who as the Messiah, and the Holy Spirit who rekindled them their heart, that they became born again. They became people who changed their lives. Like Paul, for example, on the road to Damascus, he encountered Jesus, and he actually persecuting Christians, killing Christians. Even Stephen was killed by Paul. But finally, he repented and he changed his life. He changed life and he became an amazing evangelist for Christianity. And Christianity grew. It grew like wildfire. But now we see that Christianity is fading. There's very few people who go to church. Many like evangelical Christianity is growing, but then they are focused on the a rapture that will never happen with this age and with this technology. What we see, but people still hold on to it, and this is a sad phenomena that has happened because Satan has been able to claim them in that kind of thinking. So this is the time that we have God has predestined this time that the kingdom of heaven is coming. It is coming. It has come with the birth of the Messiah, and the Messiah has a lineage, and a lineage is going like like Rev.Moon, our father, we call him father. He said that love life and lineage, which is more important. He said it's lineage, because lineage is growing, and that is happening. God's lineage is growing, and that is happening. And when the lineage grows, it goes into a big tree, and the tree will flourish because evil has a tendency to destroy itself, but goodness has a tendency to grow. So we have got to understand that nothing is predestined. God only predestined is good, and goodness comes only when we fulfill our portion of responsibility. Because God give like if we give a relative term, like God has 95% of his responsibility, and we have 5%. So God, we say because God had 95% because God sends the prophets, he sends people, he sends many things. He makes a clear foundation. Like even now, even I giving this podcast here, trying to talk about God's will. God has given the technology, the amazing books that we can. Even the Bible, we can just by just two clicks or three clicks, you can get a verse, or you type something, you can get a verse of what we want to find. So in the same way, it is happening. It is happening with the Chong Chong Gyong or the 8 great textbooks. That will happen. Now we have the Bible that is immediate, that is instantaneously available to anyone in any language can seek for it. And this is the amazing. God has given this technology. God has fulfilled his portion of responsibility, and we had fulfilled only 5%, and 5% with 100% effort. So with 100% effort, we fulfill our responsibility. God's will is accomplished, and predestination. The good of predestination is accomplished. Evil is not accomplished. So God is not a God of good and evil. God is only a God of good. So if we fail to fulfill our responsibility, we commit evil. So this is what I want to talk. Predestination. Because people have this notion that predestination, God knows everything. So therefore, God, God knows what we will do. He knows that we will not fulfill our responsibility, and therefore we go to hell. And some people will go to heaven. So God, from our birth itself, God knew who's going to heaven and who's going to hell. So that we don't have any. But that's again also that's like predestination is also varied in different levels. Some people say, okay, he's going to. Some people say, okay, God knows everything, but sometimes some people are going to hell. He cannot do anything about it. They are going to hell because they do not fulfill their responsibility. They do not want to know. Do not want to educate themselves. They live in ignorance. They live in darkness, and because they live in darkness, the darkness grows. So that's why we want to put out the light. I mean, even this podcast, I don't think it will reach even 100 people. We try to put it out for people to understand, but no, it doesn't gel with the people. It's just is like talking nonsense, moon nonsense. So what we can say the truth, and we just put it out because people are blinded. They're blinded, and they do not want to know the truth. So that's even deviating. So God is fulfilling his responsibility. He's giving us the word, he's giving us education, he's teaching us. to Rev.Moon, who spent much of his life teaching people, educating people. So this is what I really wanted to talk about, that we are living in an age of the foundation level of the kingdom of heaven. So it will happen. It will happen because many people will destroy themselves. They'll destroy themselves by their own ignorance. And this is a problem. So thank you for listening this week, and I hope that you have a wonderful week ahead of you. And God bless you all, and God bless your families. Thank you very much.